what it is. It is all around us. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. That you are a slave. Unfortunately, no one can be told. Unfortunately, no one can be told what you have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance.
Our union represents the staff, scientists, lawyers, and others who analyze hazard, exposure, and economic data and advise management how to use them in public health protection. In 1997, we voted to oppose fluoridation, and our opposition has grown stronger as more adverse data on the practice has come in. The American people, and especially our children, are getting way too much fluoride. The American people, and especially our children, are getting way too much fluoride.
The safety standards for water fluoridation in this country are based on fraudulent science, on fraudulent science, on fraudulent science. It's quite astonishing, Paul, the degree to which environmentalists have not been educated about fluoride. Here.
This brings us back to the fundamental point. Fluoride is safe, and I think I can say in conclusion that there is no health hazard that justifies postponing water fluoridation.
Harold Hodge, we now know, was a co-orchestrator of the human radiation experiment. You join the dots. If Harold Hodge and the University of Rochester are injecting people with plutonium and uranium, and at the same time they are reassuring us about fluoride safety, what's the connection?
Harold Hodge was the chief toxicologist of the Manhattan Project, the group of scientists and engineers who developed the atomic bomb in World War II and the early years of the Cold War. Hodge was responsible for investigating the toxicity of many of the chemicals used in the production of the atomic bomb, and one of the chemicals of major concern was fluoride.
The toxicology department at the University of Rochester, which was under the direction of Harold Hodge, was asked to come up with medical information that could help the government in lawsuits in which the United States Army and the US government were being charged with fluoride pollution.
If water fluoridation was found to be harmful, then the US bomb program, as well as many other fluoride polluting industries, would have been open to massive litigation.
So there's not a hope that Harold Hodge would ever say that water fluoridation was dangerous or that fluoride in small doses was toxic, because if Harold Hodge were to say that, it would have pulled the rug out from under the US Army and from under the project to build nuclear weapons. People who know the history of medicine and science in this country, the Kettering Laboratory was at one time one of the largest private laboratories dealing with issues of toxicity. It was a very well-funded laboratory, and its director, Robert Kehoe, was a very senior figure in the public health establishment. Today, we know Kehoe's name best for his career-long defense of the safety of adding lead to gasoline. Kehoe spent a professional lifetime from his pulpit at the Kettering laboratory, assuring the nation that lead added to gasoline was entirely safe. Of course, that's been thoroughly discredited. The same job that Robert Kehoe did laundering lead's image on industry's behalf, he did for fluoride. Kehoe, along with Harold Hodge, was a leading defender of fluoride safety in the workplace, and he also was a leading promoter of water fluoridation. If you go into the files of Dr. Robert Kehoe at the Kettering Laboratory, you'll come across the existence of a hitherto unknown entity known as the Fluorine Lawyers Committee, and Kehoe worked for the Fluorine Lawyers Committee at the University of Cincinnati, doing their bidding, providing ammunition to the Fluorine Lawyers Committee so that they could defend their corporate clients, Alcoa, DuPont, Monsanto, U.S. Steel, against fluoride lawsuits. Selling of fluoride to the American public was done by the best in the business, by the father of public relations, Edward Bernays. Edward Bernays is Sigmund Freud's nephew, and he was a Machiavellian genius, small in size, yet cast a towering shadow over the 20th century. Bernays understood that there was a liberal sentiment coursing through the 20th century, and that if you could hitch your commercial wagon to that star, then you could make your clients a lot of money, a lot of money, a lot of money, a lot of money. Bernays was asked to come to Washington by the NIDR to help create their PR campaign to sell fluoride to the nation.
Never could, Dr. Jeff. Then, in a toothpaste test, we were on opposite sides. My side used Crest. His side used the same toothpaste, but without fluorostan. And that's when I beat Jeff. Because my side had 21% fewer cavities with Crest.
In similar tests, Crest reduced cavities 34% and 42%. You know, more dentists recommend Crest than all other toothpastes combined. So have regular checkups, watch treats, and brush after eating with Crest. Accepted by the Council on Dental Therapeutics of the American Dental Association, as signified by this statement and this seal.
Nice hit, Jeff.
Remember, the only toothpaste with over 12 years of tests that prove it reduces cavities is Crest.
Very few dentists are aware that the fluoride in public water supplies is a pharmaceutical-grade product. It is, in fact, an industrial waste. It's the waste from the Florida phosphate industry. Today is prevented from having to dispose of its industrial effluent in a toxic waste dump by the device of shipping that in tanker trucks around the country and dumping it in our water supply, and dumping it in our water supply, and dumping it in our water supply. Speaking out as a doctor or a dentist against fluoride is the third rail. It's fatal to your career, and Phyllis Mullenix found that fluoride in very modest doses produces effects in laboratory animals resembling attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder.
The pattern that we saw, it typically is what we see with other neurotoxic agents that are well known to cause a hyperactivity or a memory problem or an IQ problem. When I first presented the results of these studies, one of the individuals sitting and listening to the results, he says, "Do you have any idea what you're saying?" And he says, "You're telling us that we're reducing the IQ of children." And basically I said, yes.